All right, everyone, how are you? Welcome to this week's episode of our podcast. It's called Is Breakfast Included? Thanks for stopping by. On the show this week, Lisa and I sit down with Lyric Noel and Russell Hollar of the project Lyric Noel. These guys told us a little bit about their upbringing, their background, growing up in Texas, how they met, how they approached their songwriting process, the inspiration behind their latest single, Metamorphosis, and their amazing social media following. Like, these guys are doing it right. They also fill us in on what they have coming up for everyone. Let's check it out. Tell everyone who you are.
All right. I'm Lyric of the project Lyric Noel.
My name's Russell. I'm the guitarist and producer for the Lyric Noel project.
Right on. And how'd you guys meet?
I met Russell in 2018. I sent him a message on Facebook, and I'd always thought he was really cute, and he responded to me, and it turns out that we actually kind of already indirectly knew each other because in like 2009 or 2010, I wanted to audition for his band, but I didn't know like who he was back then, and it just kind of fizzled out, and I never got around to auditioning for his other project. They're known as In Search of Sight, and they wound up going with another singer. And then, fast forward to 2018, and we met, and he was like, "You were supposed to audition for my band, and I never heard back from you." and so we kind of came full circle.
Right on.
Meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to the story, but I've had to teach myself how to shorten it because it's long. And that's the shortest version of it.
And that gives us all the bullet points, right?
Yeah, I'm learning how to do that with these interviews here.
And growing up, was there a lot of music in your house?
For me?
Yeah, both of you guys.
Yeah.
When I was a little girl, yeah, like my mom used to be a singer, and then we were exposed to a lot of just different types of music growing up. I started out listening to NSYNC and Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears and lots of like 90s hip hop, and then my daddy brought a cassette tape into my room one night when I was like 9 to 11. I can't pinpoint the age, but he was like, "The music you listen to is garbage." And he gave me a single cassette tape of Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. And I guess that that opened up the gateway to what I become now. I started listening to Nirvana, then Alice in Chains, and then it turned into like listening to bands like Kitty and Arch Enemy. And that's kind of where it all played out.
Yeah. Russell, how about you, man?
Well, I wasn't really raised into a musical family, so to speak, but I was raised in a very small town, and I had the bug for music, and my family, thankfully, they nurtured that, and I was able to get my hands on some instruments and learn guitar and play a little drums and stuff like that. So fast forward, I went to college for music production, audio engineering, and moved to the DFW, and then later Lyric and I crossed paths, and we had this chemistry and this connection that has been a huge part of our success and what we have going on. So,
and where are you guys originally from? From Texas or?
Yes,
Mesquite, Texas. Yeah,
Mesquite. And you said small town, Russell. I'm from a small town in Texas too, so I always want to know.
So I'm from a really small town. It's called Seymour, Texas.
Seymour, yeah, I have friends from Seymour.
A little small town out there by Wichita.
Yeah. We actually, one of my best friends, his wife Paige is from Seymour, and he was my first tour manager when I started.
Oh
touring.
wow, small world.
He works for Pat Green, so
that's so cool.
Or else I wouldn't have known of Seymour.
Yeah, you say Pat Green, I was raised very much around the country music scene.
Yeah.
Everyone you can think of. I even knew Chris Ledoux and a few other people back in the day. And
Oh wow, really?
Yeah. My dad, he put on a big concert that he hosted at his rodeo arena and had Chris Ledoux out there, and I got to hang out with everybody, and it was really interesting. So
That's kind of a big deal.
yeah,
You know?
it is a really,
Yeah,
it's like
it's
it's
a big
country
deal.
music history right there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was very much raised in the roots of Texas country, and found myself straying into metal music because I just wanted more.
Yeah.
I I just, I something caught my ear with heavy music, as you know. Um, Kind of like lyrics, she was listening to a lot of NSYNC and pop music, and then once she heard some rock bands and grunge and Nirvana, that just, turned everything upside
I
down.
did grow up on country too,
Sure.
by the from Mesquite, the home of the Freak. So
Yeah. That's the
When did you-
Mesquite rodeo?
yeah.
When did you know you could sing? I mean, did you always know?
I started singing when I was 5, and my poppy, my grandfather, was really encouraging of that, and he would always ask me to sing Colors of the Wind and Just Around the River Bend by Pocahontas. And so I did. I grew up singing that, and then Reflection by from the Mulan movie. I actually did a cover of that song on YouTube. So, and I actually did it because my grandfather was he died last year, or no, 2023 now, right before Russell and I got married. And I did it for him to kind of jog his memory a little bit, because music speaks to people with memory problems.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Your first concert. What was your first concert?
my first concert,
Yeah.
in sync, when I was like 10 years old.
How
And I
about
guess you were
Russell?
going to your dad's concerts, right, Russell?
Yeah, I was very much raised in, around the country music scene. So thinking back, I'm not sure what would be classified as my first concert. I've been to so many.
Yeah. Same.
Very early on, I would say, like, as far as like getting into hard rock and metal and stuff, I remember seeing Rob Zombie early as a kid, and, bands around that, like new metal bands at the time that would come through.
Yeah.
But, we lived out in the country, so we rarely caught any concerts,
Yeah, that was a drive for you
It
to
really
go to
was.
any major city from that area.
Sure.
You mentioned your grandfather, Lyric, that he was kind of the one that saw it in you to begin with, and you sang with. Do you, when you're performing now, do you still have like him with you? Do you kind of pretend you're singing to him?
I feel like if there's him and my grandmother, they're both gone, unfortunately. But I feel like one of our most successful originals is about him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about his like journey with his battle with this nasty, I don't even know what to call dementia, other than it's horrific. But that's what our song Metamorphosis is about. We have an acoustic remix of that one coming out too. We just did a music video for it on Monday. It's coming out on May the 2nd. So
Yeah. Cool, man.
but yeah, I would say so. I would say that he lives on in me for sure.
Yeah.
Is it a different process for you when you record covers or originals?
As far as like,
I don't know, just do you do anything differently? Do you try to stay true to the original song? Or do you just want to make it your own? Or do you feel like you have more
I would
leeway
say
with
we
your
ride on the edge of both when we're doing cover songs. We are starting to kind of lean out of doing covers and doing more original music. We have quite a few originals in our back pocket right now that we're working on.
Yeah. Was that the original idea when you guys got together to collaborate? Was, hey, I want to do these, because the arrangements of your covers are really cool. Like they're true.
That's all him.
They're true to the covers, but then they have that attack on them. Was that your original concept for it? I want to play
I would say
covers.
so. The way I feel about the covers is that I think we've kind of honed in on a sound that I identify with as being ours.
Yeah.
As far as our edgy metal sound with Lyric's powerful vocals.
Mhm.
However, with the covers, I feel like the way I produce music, it's structured very fast. My workflow is very fast, so it takes no time to build a session and literally record an entire cover song.
Yeah.
Because essentially the idea and the concept is already there. You don't have to write lyrics and rack your brain on a bunch of stuff. If you know what you're going for and you already have the sound that you want. So as far as when we do cover songs, it's a very quick process. However, when we do originals, I would say we really take our time to dive in. We revamp parts, try different things out, we experiment because, we want to make sure that it's conveyed correctly and it's right,
Yeah.
Cool. We cultivated an audience and drew them in with covers, and we're slowly, I would say more so lately, trying to push originals out in the algorithm, which I would say is a lot more challenging than it is doing cover songs. But this year is definitely focused more around our original music, which is why we haven't released a whole lot of stuff this year.
Yeah.
We're taking
the other day when we were talking and you said, are you familiar with what I'm doing? And I had just put your I had just been listening to it all day, just letting it play. And I was on a plane and a cover would come through, Cry Little Sister, and I'd be like, that's really cool. And then I'd hear an original. But what really got me was the bye, bye, bye.
Yeah, I love that one. I love In Sync. I mean, that's definitely, you have to pay homage to where you got your start, I guess. And
well, you guys definitely did on that. And it's definitely, I mean, I don't have any hate towards the original. Like, I'm not going to say like, oh, I'd never listened to that. But I mean, I could see myself listening to this. As a matter of fact, at some point on the plane, I was like,
That's so cool.
Thankfully, Deadpool brought that one back to the forefront, and then the media. So that was so cool.
That's so
I didn't care for the new movie though. I didn't like it as much as the first one. I feel bad, but I do. And Reynolds as Deadpool, he did such a great job.
Yeah, he did great. When did you guys realize this was taking off on your TikTok? Like when you started seeing your videos go, like I said, I was already following you when they reached out to me. When did you realize it? Like, wow, this is something.
When we did Carol of the Bells, that was another massive hit for us, globally, actually. And we realized like, oh my gosh, we got to keep going. Otherwise, what are we doing here?
Right.
What was
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, what was it like the first time you performed live? What was going on in your head? Were you nervous or?
I used to play in a band when I was in my early 20s, like 19 to 20 years old. I wasn't even old enough to drink yet. A little secret about me, I suffer from stage fright. It's gotten better. It's gotten way better. But I mean, God, even as a little kid, I mean, if you want to go that far back when I was seeing talent shows and like company picnics for my parents or whatever, I was so scared. Like I take an anxiety medication before I go on stage, so my heart rate stays normal.
Mm-hmm.
If you've ever performed live or gotten in front of an audience, or at least for me, my heart beats so fast and so quickly that it can affect my performance. Like it doesn't sound good. So I have to control it somehow. I don't do drugs. I don't drink. So that's the only thing. That's the only thing I feel okay with doing.
I think we feel that because we don't do this live. We record it, then we release it. But even after we release it, even if it's after recorded, every Friday morning we feel the anxiety.
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. I would say for me, like talking to the audience can be a little bit of a challenge, but I've kind of learned to create dialogue and stuff.
Yeah,
cool.
But try not to talk so much that it becomes awkward,
Yeah.
You have to find that happy balance and medium.
How many songs into your set do you start like leveling out?
Start talking?
No, to where how many songs into it to where you start feeling comfortable, or is it a constant?
After the second one, usually the first one. And then I start to kind of like come down a little bit in the middle of the second song. And then I feel like my voice really like locks in. it doesn't matter how many. I can do vocal warm-ups for 30 minutes and it's nothing like actually singing it, you know?
Yeah.
How about when you're writing music? Where do you usually start? Do you start with lyrics? Do you start with a melody or
Lyrics usually.
Yeah.
I'm like by nature, I guess you would say I'm a writer. And then I'll write something down and then I'll show Russell and then we'll try to put it to music. And sometimes it doesn't fit what he has composed. So lately what I've been doing is I'll listen to songs that are like in the same, I guess, time signature and cadence of the song that he's written, and I'll just use that as a template, and then I'll kind of rewrite what I've already written around someone else's song that's in the same cadence, and then we'll put it to our stuff. It seems to have been working. So
yeah. Have you ever come to him with lyrics and Russell, did you go, oh, I can do something with this?
Oh, most of the time, yeah. It's occasionally whenever it doesn't fit and he's like, I think we need to go back and rework this.
Well, and it's very rare. Yeah. I would say at any given time, I'm working on composing songs and music beds for all of the material, and she's working on the lyric side of things. And then once we bring those two elements together and we sort of find what works, what pieces fit in what songs, it's all about, our songs convey different feels. Some songs are more aggressive and high energy, and some songs have a more somber ambient feel. And it just depends on what's the lyrical content behind that and what it matches with. So again, I'll be working on music in the background. She'll be writing lyrics in the background. Once we're comfortable and we have something completed, or, we're ready to workshop it, we'll bring them together and we'll sit in here in our home studio and we'll work out the parts and record songs together. So
you guys seem to have like a really good songwriting partnership, rather than one of them taking the reins going, okay, I need you to sing this, I need you to do that. Is it really nice working with your husband or your wife? It
is, at least for me. I know it is for him.
Absolutely.
You could be completely honest with him.
Sure. We've worked together now long enough. I think we know what each other wants as far as where we want the music to go. So when we're sitting here working together, recording, if there's a segment lyric nails apart, sometimes we'll go back and we'll dub the vocals and do a second layer on top just to thicken the part up, or maybe lay a harmony. And 9 times out of 10, she instantly knows that that's what we're going to do. She's right on top of it. So
that's cool. You guys have gotten to know each other's process.
Of course. And I think it's just made the process so smooth. To look back at the catalog of music that we currently have released just in the past couple of years between our originals and covers, as well as what's to come, it still is just mind-blowing to me.
I cannot wait to unleash these originals on the world, because the Sungazer EP was great. And I feel like it served its purpose for its time. But the newer stuff, I feel like, is a little bit, it's just different. It's a little bit more complex. I've improved as a songwriter, just, you don't ever stay the same. And I feel like if you do, you need to reevaluate for sure.
Yeah. Who are your guys' influences?
I couldn't wait for this question. Well, if you've been following me for a while, it's no secret that I am a giant fan of Sleep Token. It'll never I don't think anything will ever touch me like their music has. I think the only time I ever experienced a feeling similar, well, there's 2 times in my life as an aspiring vocalist and musician. It was definitely Justin Timberlake, definitely. And then it became Nirvana, of course, and then now as an adult, Vessel from Sleep Token. I don't know if there's any other artist that can actually move me quite like he has. And then I really love Spirit Box. And another early influence, Kitty and Arch Enemy. So we've kind of taken those elements, at least on my end, we've taken those elements and combined them.
Yeah. I was going to ask if you had been influenced by Courtney LaPlante, Spirit
Oh
Pop.
gosh, yeah.
She's it seems like the pop world has really taken to her too, like inviting her to be parts of
Megan Thee
collaboration.
Stallion.
Yeah, they just brought her on Coachella. Yeah.
In my mind, I love seeing the world of hip hop and pop join forces with metal, because it doesn't have to be this like constant rivalry. Like, oh, this genre is better because of XYZ, and we're all here after that same goal. Why does one have to be superior to the other? You know.
I think that's one of the things Lyric and I love so much about the band Sleep Token is they're a fusion of so many sounds and they transcend so many genres of music.
I would not where I'm at if it wasn't for pop and hip hop. Like
they very much influence, our sound, our songwriting, a lot of what we're doing. So,
well, they kind of came out of, I mean, they've been around, but they kind of came out of nowhere and just dropped it on everyone.
They did,
and we're like, here it is, like, and their tour just sold out in like record time.
20 minutes. 20 minutes. They aren't playing in Texas, so we kind of took a step back on this one. But when they do sell out AT&T Stadium, we're going to be one of the reasons.
Yeah, we've caught all their other recent shows when they've came through town. So,
what about you? Your influences besides Sleep Token?
Well, I would say most of the same artists that Lyric had mentioned. Growing up, I never was too much into, say Nirvana. I liked a little Nirvana, some Alice in Chains. I liked a lot of classic rock. I eventually started getting into heavier stuff, Metallica, Pantera, anything heavier at the time, from 15, 20 years ago.
Periphery.
But it was back in, I would say 2008, maybe 2009, that I heard a couple of early bands on the Sumerian record label, The Faceless and Veil of Maya. And when I heard those bands, they had just a unique sound that I hadn't heard come out of the metal scene. And it was a, kind of a fusion of things. But it was more polyrhythmic material, because you heard so many bands playing, fast metal, but everything straight, very straightforward. Now you hear so many bands playing off time, crazy polyrhythmic material. And when I first heard some of those bands emerging, I felt like this is where the sound of metal is going to be heading. And so much of it has.
Yeah. Lisa and I just talked to a producer, David Prater, who produced Images and Words for Dream Theater. But he's working with a band called Consider the Source, and they're different. Just check them out.
Oh yeah. I've heard of those guys.
Yeah.
What is it about metal music that drew you in and really connected with you guys?
The fact that my mom didn't want me to listen to it. The fact that she thought it was so gross and nasty, and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna listen to it. I don't know. I always liked being the rebellious one, and it really resonated with me, because I felt like I had so much to say. There was a lot going on the inside, and I felt like it kind of helped me express myself more so than anything else.
That's cool.
Are there any local bands that you guys like?
In the DFW scene?
Yeah.
There are a lot of local bands. I work with a ton of death metal bands, a lot of rock bands. The list.
As a producer?
Yes, I produce, record, engineer. I mix. I work with bands even from out of state who send me material to mix and master. So a little bit of everything, but I can't even think initially. The list goes on in my head of like local talent. I mean, the DFW is just, it's insane how much good, talent's here, and, just in the music in general.
I always say that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that aren't getting the attention I feel like they deserve.
Sure.
There's so many out in the scene. Our friend Maxton, he's got a band called Otherwise Dead. They've been on the down low, working on material, so that's why they haven't put anything out recently. But
Definitely.
yeah, they're really good. He's also our stand-in manager for now. He went to college for this kind of stuff, so it's just like, this is perfect. So
And you said you have new music coming up soon. Is it a full album? Is it another EP? How are you releasing? How many songs?
approach it single by single until
Okay.
we gain enough traction to put it out as an album, and hopefully we gain traction within the first couple of songs, so that way it kind of creates like anticipation for an album.
Cool.
And why Metamorphosis did you decide to have an updated version of that song?
I feel like that was the one that resonated the most with myself and my audience.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a song that was very fluidly transcribed to an acoustic. And I'm assuming you heard that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like out of the entire catalog, that one is probably was the best choice to do an acoustic remix of it and kind of revive it and bring it back to life.
Yeah. Well, and listening to all your music and going by date, like I listened to it all, then I got home and then I kind of said, okay, they recorded this. Metamorphosis is actually shows the most growth in your song. It's just a really well written song on top of it being a catchy song, which that's not a word metal bands like to hear, catchy, but
well, you know what? Sleep Token does it. Spirit Box does it.
yeah.
All the successful metal bands are right now. What's happening right now? All the successful metal bands they're kind of latching on to a phrase or whatever, and they're following the rule of threes, that formula that works. It's the X factor. It's what draws people in.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's a really cool song, and like I said, upon listening to it over and over again, that's still, in my opinion, I hope you take it as a compliment. It shows a lot of growth. And you could have written it years ago and just released it, but usually you release it when it's ready.
I think I actually wrote Metamorphosis in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
A lot of changes happened in my life aside from my grandfather dying, but the cool thing about that song is anybody can relate it to themselves as in their path of growth. Mine was about his ascension to another world, and not having to live in that shell of a body he became,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
The cocoon and the chrysalis was kind of like the symbolism of the person, or the void of a person he became.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I get it. I'm going to go back to your following, man. You have this huge following of Instagram followers, a lot. Like, it's very impressive for a band that doesn't have a record deal, for a band, but one stood out in particular. Beth Hart follows you.
Yes. Yeah.
Have you had any interactions with Beth Hart?
Feel awful for not bringing her up. There's so many different influences. I actually started when I was a kid. I was in metal bands, and then I took a long break. I had a child. I have a 12-year-old son, and I ran into Russell again. But during my downtime of trying to get back into music, I discovered her, and I was just blown away by her vocals. And so she is actually another influence of mine. No, I've not done anything with her. I do feel like we're very stylistically different, but I was diving into the world of blues for a while.
Yeah.
Because at the time, metal music was kind of in the background. Nobody was really paying attention to it. People were listening to, like, I don't know if you remember the wave of like the stomp and clap.
It's kind of like radio blues rock stuff.
Yeah.
That literally had a cadence of sounded like stomps and claps. Like
Dorothy. That's another singer I really love. Just like that real, what's the word I'm looking for? That real rich tonality to their vocals, and that insane vibrato and those operatic notes with an alto range. You know, I love Beth Hart.
Cool.
You know her or something?
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I am
She's,
too.
to me, in my eyes, one of the most underrated singers.
She really is. She really is, and she has a really compelling, interesting story too.
Oh, cool.
I would say that she is comparable to Vessels from Sleep Token's vocals. I would die to hear her do a Sleep Token cover because it would fit so well.
Yeah.
She would just knock it out of the park. I feel like I should send her a DM and just say, please cover this. Just do it for me. Because she'd get it, you know, but I don't want to bother her.
Do you have any dream collaborations, the people that you would love to work with, or?
I mean, I would love to work with Sleep Token and maybe Spirit Box one day. Bill Murray is another band that I've really come to enjoy. They're like a mix of like the gent progressive metal with country, and they just got off tour with Sleep Token. So their European tour of last year. So that would be another band I would love to collaborate with. Goodness, the list goes on, but Sleep Token is my number one. I would one day love to open up for them, and I'm hoping that this new music grabs enough attention to be able to achieve that goal one day.
Yeah. How do you stay authentic online? Like, how do you stay up so your fans don't like go, oh, they're trying to do this, how do you stay authentic to yourself, true to yourself?
That's a constant battle that I actually deal with a lot. I feel like it can definitely show through on camera if I'm just kind of going through the motions or if I'm actually really into something. It really just depends on my mood. I suffer from like mental illness and things like that. So it's, and regardless if I'm having an episode or feeling bad one day, it doesn't matter. I got to keep going. So some days I feel like I can mask to try to please other people. And then there are some days where I'm like, I don't give a fuck what people think. So it just really depends on my mood. I have borderline personality disorder. So my mood can change from like 10 minutes from now, you know.
You seem very open about that.
Why wouldn't I be? You know what I mean? It's like, it's a part of who I am. It's what most of my songs are about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, some folks would not put that out, you know, and it's very admirable for you to be very open and talk about it like that.
But One and the Same, which is was our first original that we dropped back in summer of 2023. It's a pretty direct message of a song, but it's basically just talking about the struggles of like psychiatric medication and how it doesn't work, at least for somebody with my condition, because I feel like my condition is like it's born of trauma. It's not something that's like chemically imbalanced up here. It's reactions to traumatic situations, and it's kind of built me into this person that I am today.
Yeah. Well, it seems like music's a really good outlet, a good healer for you. You know?
It is. It's very rewarding.
Yeah.
Especially these days. We've worked really hard in the last 3 years to achieve what we have. The only regret I have is not doing it sooner, I guess.
Yeah. But it's never too late.
For people who don't know, where can people find you online?
Instagram under Lyric Noel Music. TikTok is under the handle Lyric Noel Official. Spotify, Lyric Noel. Facebook is same, and then YouTube is also Lyric Noel.
Oh, good.
I basically Googled Lyric Noel, and
yeah, you can also do that.
Well, guys, we really appreciate you both taking the time, and we look forward to seeing what you have coming up.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you've got a lot of good shit online, and not shit. You know what I mean?
I know what
our podcast, it's called Is Breakfast Included? And if we were having breakfast, what would you guys have?
It depends on my mood, but if I'm not dieting, I love chicken and waffles.
It's a good one.
A lot of bacon and eggs.
That too.
Yeah.
You do coffee or tea or anything?
We do black coffee with stevia daily.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
And then I have sometimes what I'm drinking right now, my little Alani Nu energy drink, because I do love the taste of like candy. So
who doesn't?
Oh, there are some people, but I feel like most of the world likes candy.
Well, Lyric, Russell, man, it's been good talking to you, getting to know you guys. And like I said, we do look forward to seeing what you have coming up.
I'll keep you in the loop. Well, you'll see it online, or I can send you a message and let you know that we have something coming out real soon.
Thank you all again for having
Yeah,
us.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
for
Thank you
being
for your
here.
time. Right on. Lyric, Noel, and Russell Hollar. I can't suggest enough to check them out on Apple Music, Spotify, TikTok, Instagram. These guys are the real deal. And you can link to all their social media from lyricnoel.com. Check it out. And while you're online, check out isbreakfast.com. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram from there. Rate and review the show on Apple Podcast, and click on over to YouTube, subscribe to the show. And while you're there, you know what I'm about to say, buy a shirt. All right, guys, I am done. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next week.